The list of presidential candidates is steadily growing, especially on the Democratic side.
They sure are. And one of those contenders paid a visit to Southern California today. KCAL 9 political reporter Dave Bryan has the latest on the campaign trail.
You know, most California primaries, they're so late in the primary season that they're a snoozer usually. Well, not this time. Tonight, the stage is set for an active and hard-hitting California Democratic primary on Super Tuesday 2020. And although it's still almost a year away, the first Democratic candidates are already touching down in California for the early March 3rd primary, and not just for fundraisers like in many past years. Next year, California voters will likely have a huge say in who the Democratic presidential candidate will be. Former San Antonio Mayor and Housing and Urban Development Cabinet Secretary Julian Castro, now a candidate for the Democratic presidential nomination, spent Monday campaigning across Los Angeles, including a stop at UCLA, where he answered questions from students.
I believe that at 12:01 on January 20th, 2021, that we're going to have a Democratic president, a Democratic House, and a Democratic Senate.
With the California primary for the 2020 presidential election still more than 360 days away, this is extraordinary. The state rarely sees presidential primary candidates, except for fundraising, so early in the primary season. But this year is different for a number of reasons. First of all, next year the California primary will be on March 3rd. Very early in the primary season, whereas in past years the California presidential primaries were so late in the season that the outcome was already decided long before voters in this state got a chance to determine that outcome. And secondly, in 2020, the primary campaign action will be on the Democrat side, with perhaps as many as 20 or more Democratic candidates in the running, and California is a state dominated by Democrats, with plenty of Democratic delegates up for grabs. Does the California primary mean more now that it's been moved up to March next year?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, this is a state that is the largest state in our union, that the people of California should be listened to. And I'm determined to come out here often and to meet with people throughout the state.
Castro also met on Monday with leaders and members of the Community Coalition in South LA, where he talked about how important it is for minorities to cast their ballots. Outside, he shook hands with Los Angeles Police Chief Michael Moore. And last Friday, Castro shared his dream of winning the presidential election with a Latino legislative caucus group in Anaheim.
And I look forward to the moment that my wife Erica and I, with our daughter Karina and our son Cristian, get to usher off Donald Trump and Melania.
And Castro will not be alone, because with a total of nearly 500 California delegates to the Democratic Party's presidential nomination convention in 2020, most of them decided by the March primary, the state should see plenty of the candidates in the next year, and not just for fundraisers.
Join me as I support the next president of the United States, Senator Kamala Harris.
Of course, on the other hand, Senator Kamala Harris is expected to dominate in the California primary. But even though California Senator Harris would certainly be expected to win a large number of those delegates, there could still be plenty left over for the others, like Julian Castro.
I think 2020 you're going to have a more active electorate than we've had in a very long time. People recognize that we need a change in this country, and I think that they're going to take it in their own hands. They're going to go to the ballot box like they have never before.
And California's not alone. As the Berkeley News pointed out recently, Super Tuesday has never been as super as it will be in 2020, because Texas, the second most populous state in the country, will also be joining that party on March 3rd. Should be quite a night, huh?
Indeed, Dave. And how much impact do you think Super Tuesday next year will have on the Democratic primary?
Because of what we're talking about, I think it'll have a huge impact, because looking at the larger picture in terms of, what this means for the Democrats, altogether, 6 of the 16 most populous states will be holding their primaries on that date, with nearly 29%, just short of 1/3 of the U.S. population, having a chance to vote on that day. In fact, a UC Berkeley political science professor was quoted by the Berkeley News as saying that with both California and Texas voting on Super Tuesday, Latino voters will probably have a stronger impact on the outcome. That could obviously be an advantage to someone like Julian Castro, and all that just 4 weeks after the Iowa caucuses and 3 weeks after the New Hampshire primary. So, Juan, back to you.
It's going to get very interesting,
Oh,
Dave.
yeah.
All right. Thanks so much.